worries about their kids. I mean, you probably have kids or have your grandchildren. And to be totally to say that, you know, none of this could be causing illnesses, and I think it needs to be looked into, addressed, and really consider what needs to be done. Not just ABB, but some of the other sites as well in Cecil Township. You know, it's scary to think that, you know, your kids that you spend your whole life trying to protect, that you get sick just by sending them to school, or just going out and playing in the backyard. So, you know, these things need to be looked at and taken very seriously. I mean, you know, it doesn't look like a whole lot of work's being done. You know, if you go to the EPA's website, you know, from what they report, you know, I think information needs to be provided and let people make good and informed decisions.
Very well. Thank you, sir. You can address, please.
Hi, Kara Sheridan, 58 North of Holly Road. So I have a couple things, but the first one is the whole ABB situation. I think that this topic is extremely confusing to everyone. It's confusing. You know, there was this article WPXI posted about the Ewing sarcoma and other pediatric cancer situations that has caused a lot of upheaval on social media and some people's awareness of what's going on around here. But I feel like this whole issue is extremely confusing because we're mixing this getting a public works building situation with the fact that we have property that is toxic that needs to be remediated. I think that I don't understand why there's not some way that we can get this remediated as a first course of action through whatever's happening directly before we go forth with making a purchase of the property, to at least have kind of some basic understanding of what's going on there before we go digging anything up, right? I think that there's two separate sets of things, and the second thing is, I've come to these meetings and I still don't understand what's going on, meaning, do we own this, have we purchased this ABB property, or have we made an offer for this ABB property? There's some grant situation that's going on, who's applying for a grant to do what? It's all, I think, to the point earlier that Chairman Savatic brought up, there needs to be a public meeting on this topic where you explain to the community what is going on so that we can get feedback as to what the right course of action is. Because admittedly, I don't know, you know, I think Michelle said as well, we don't know what the right answer is. I don't think anybody in this room is ready to raise their hand and say what the right answer is. But I'd like to understand how we're going to get some sort of analysis done by some sort of impartial, qualified third party who can tell us what the right answer is before we go forth with doing anything, right? No, we shouldn't be purchasing any property. We shouldn't be digging anything up. We should be getting an impartial third party, maybe multiple impartial third parties, to give their opinions about the right thing to do as expediently as possible, and then move on making some decisions. And we need to educate the community on what's going on, because nobody has a clue, honestly. And that's my opinion.
I mean, and I can only speak for myself. Are you gonna? Okay.
Well, I thought
No,
Let her
I
finish,
don't.
please.
All I was going to say was we have a lot of information, and I'm hoping that we can release that information, because I can totally see where you're coming from, where you say you feel left out, and a lot of stuff's been done behind closed doors, because it kind of has. And I've been pushing, you know, for a long time now to have some of this information put out there so that you guys can make your own educated decision. I've kind of made mine, which is why you can see the stance that I've taken and I continue to take. And I just hope that if we do have a meeting, that it isn't, with all due respect to Mr. Deiseroth, it isn't a bunch of lawyers in here trying, or engineering, obviously we want engineering experts, but we want somebody who can explain it to us in a way that, one, we can understand, and two, isn't disrespectful to our positions, which is we want to protect the kids, the residents in use, the people in public works. So,
right, I agree. In layman's terms, something that everybody can understand and that is consumable. But like I said, I feel like these two different topics of procuring this property and dealing with the remediation effort is confusing the issue, because it's muddling everything.
My personal feeling, without substantial grant money, nothing will ever happen there. And
So
that's
what,
my
can
point.
I ask that question, and what is this grant that was applied for, and what would this grant money, what would these grant monies be used to do that were in the last supervisor meeting that was approved to, or was there, this on the agenda about this grant that this has been going on? Does everybody know what, I mean, I don't really know anything about it.
It does. Dan, do you care to summarize, please, sir?
Sure. The grant very simply put is to cover the bony pile, which is the coal refuse pile, which is, there's two parts to the site. One site was occupied by ABB where they did the resin work. The second part was just an old coal dump where they took the bony pile or the waste from the coal and they piled it up in the air. So the bony pile is the most substantial part of the environmental cleanup, and there's money available from the Department of Mining in Pennsylvania to actually remediate that situation. So that's what the grant is for, to remediate the bony pile. Sure.
So does that mean then we don't plan to have any assessment done that says what the right thing to do is? We're just assuming because there's this money for this bony pile remediation, that that's the answer because that's the only thing we have the money to do.
No, here's my problem. Oh, I must state this. If we get $1.5 million or $2 million, I don't care. I want to know the bottom line. I'm not going to take all these taxpayers and say, okay, we got this, and it's $25 million to clean it up. That's the problem. I mean, there's people over in Munich got gardens planted, and they're eating this stuff. And that's terrible. Dan, will you answer her question, please? Dan, you remember her question?
We just said about are we having a study done to?
Yeah, okay. The township has engaged in independent environmental consultant, American Geosciences. They have done work independent of ABB's consultant that's on the site. So there's two environmental consultants monitoring what each other is doing. We have, when I say we, the township has committed and completed extensive testing. As Cindy said, there's information available. So where the project is at this point is the site has been characterized in the environmental world. So they know what it is. I respect what Ron says, and other people say there may be other stuff up there, but there have been test holes, groundwater wells dug. They have characterized what the site looks like. And then once you characterize it, you take it to the DEP and you develop a plan to clean it up. That has been reviewed with the DEP. All of those things in place allow the township to be able to apply for a grant to cover and remediate the bony pile. That's where we are. I'm trying to put it as simple as I
But
can.
there was a section of the site that was not tested, correct?
There is a portion of the site that was not ever disturbed. It's pretty well, there's old maps and there's a bunch of information that was available as to what the actual site was. There was the old combustion engineering, that's where the work took place. And then ABB was the one that bought it after combustion. So there's maps available, there's a lot of information, there was supplemental testing done. ABB did their own testing. We added on to that, our environmental guy went further out and did other things. So there's a lot of information that's available.
But don't you find it, and I've said this from day one, so this is not going to be anything surprising to you, but don't you find it a little bit odd that ABB is so willing to pay for this whole thing and then just hand over 88 acres to us?
You got, and again, I've just been around this enough, the only thing that I can tell you is that they have these sites and it's a constant expense for them to continue to at least own the property, pay taxes on it. They're not doing anything with the property. It has no value to them. So what they're trying to do is get these types of properties off their books all over the country. And they have a whole department set up for that. That's the guy that came in and met with the township at the time. So it doesn't surprise me that they're doing that, other than they know it has issues. But these types of issues in western Pennsylvania are commonplace, and they are addressed at lots of different places. So again, I'm just trying to make sure that the technical information is correct. And the environmental consultant that the township has on board is the highest noted guy in western Pennsylvania, in my opinion. He's very well respected. by the DEP. The DEP is intimately involved in these processes. Everything is monitored. So again, I understand people's trepidation. It's a scary thing. I respect that. I would stake my reputation on recommending anything unless the right people were involved to look at this thing, and we've tried to take this in incremental steps. Nobody's gone any further. We brought all this information to the board. Everything stopped until you guys would make a decision. The only thing that's happened is there's been made an application for the grant. That's the only thing that's happened to this point. Is that clear?
Yeah, that's-
Okay.
Yeah, so just one more comment about that topic. So I think there needs to be a public meeting, and all this wonderful information that Mr. Deiseroth is saying exists needs to be disclosed, and the taxpayers need their questions answered about how kids are going to be protected. If it's a choice to go forward with doing the remediation, I'm not saying whether I think that's the right thing or just let it be. I don't know what the right answer is. But if there are experts out there that say remediating it is not going to cause an increased risk or harm to our children, or we have additional assurances on how our children are going to be protected, that's the type of information that the taxpayers need to have on top of their mind. So I think the whole situation needs to be reviewed, and the whole set of information that you guys have access to needs to be disclosed to the public, so
Amen.
we can decide.
Very well. Would the board like to set something up within the next month, before the next month, to have, Dan, can we get the EPA or DEP available?
We can try to arrange a meeting and include all the experts and try to keep some information out there.
Okay.
But the only thing that I would advise the board is that and again, I'm not your attorney, Gretchen's your attorney, but you have a special attorney on this, Dr. Aaronsberg. And this is something where you have a sales agreement, so there's a legal obligation to the township. So I would consult with Dr. Aaronsberg as to have Dawn talk to them and see what they think about this and what information they can disclose so you're not in breach of your agreement.
I understand.
That's all.
Yep. All right. If we get something, Kara, that we post it on our website and just make an informal announcement.
I just have two other quick comments. So one, I heard an issue today that I think could be pretty easily remedied, this topic with the cell tower coming up and information on the planning commission, agendas not being disclosed. I would respectfully request that the planning commission agenda be shared on the public website. In addition, I would also respectfully request that the supervisor agendas be shared at least one complete and entire business day before the meeting, because in the situation, I've been in similar situations myself as the gentleman in the back. He's working with council, right? He finds out something goes on that's going to be on the agenda for the supervisors meeting. He has no way to contact his council because the thing is being posted on Friday and the meeting is on Monday. So I think we just need to do a better job, but a bare minimum by the end of the day Thursday, that the supervisor agenda meeting information is disclosed. And then in addition to that, that the planning commission information be provided and posted on the public website, just like the agenda for the supervisor.
Thanks, ma'am.
So I think that whole problem. And I do have one more question, because I know Wendy's been doing a ton of work on the Parks and Rec and stuff, and gathering tons of information through social media and a variety of other requests. I'm curious if this topic of the pickleball courts has ever come up by request of any of the people that you've interviewed. This is back to the point of having a plan and executing on it. I'm not understanding how, to me, the pickleball thing seems kind of arbitrary. Like, if you came to us and said, you're getting requests from multiple people through your public surveys and the information that we have gathered through the comprehensive planning committee that said people desire to organize and play pickleball, then I think we put it on the list as something that we make an investment to do, whether it be to paint lines or to build entire courts around it. I feel like these new requests starting now that are with respect to Parks and Rec should be taken under advice of the Parks and Rec board, because that's what they're working to do. Come up with a plan, execute on a plan. That's what makes sense to me, but I'm just putting it up.
I mean, truthfully,
Thank you.
I can only speak for myself, but I saw the pickleball court thing when I sat down here tonight with the rest of you.